Skyrim holds many mysteries, however few measure up to an enigmatic enemy that, in the case of some of you, you may not even have been aware existed. They emerge from storms of snow and ice, or deep underground, and hurt and confuse you. Their kids are also shits as well. I speak, of course, of the coldest mothers in all of Skyrim, the Wispmothers, an interesting enemy with quite a lot of lore behind it, if you take the time to look. Many questions surround them. What do they look like, and where did they come from? What are their powers, and how can they affect people? Well, let's take a gander and answer some of those questions. So first up, let's look at the frigid females. As you can see, they are very wraith-like in nature. Their skin and clothing are a greenish blue, translucent in some sections, and glowing all over. They emit, or attract perhaps, a type of fog or mist. It wreathes and twists over them, as if it were alive. Possibly an extension of their own selves, which, given their magical nature, is totally within the realm of possibility. In fact, what comes out the bottom seems to be more of a mist. What comes out the top of them seems much more otherworldly and alive in nature. Occasionally, both are lit up by flashes of light. This gives the Wispmothers the appearance of a storm, given form. Spooky. Their legs are nowhere to be seen. Either they were cut off, which is unlikely, or they no longer have any. Instead, they hover in one spot, and use their magics to propel themselves across any surface. This actually includes water, which makes them even creepier. They just fucking glide over this stuff. They can still take fall damage, though actually getting them to do so is a little difficult. The clothing, or rags, they wreath their bodies in are very fluid in nature. Even when the Wispmothers are stationary, they still move and flow. It's likely that these are extensions of the Wispmothers themselves. The wrappings they drop can be broken down into glow dust, a substance present in both the Wispmothers and the wisps, likely a substance that is integral to their being or survival. Their hands are claw-like in nature, betraying them to be something else besides an elf or human. You know, if the whole legless floating fog deal hadn't tipped you off already. Could be a choice on their part to manifest like this, or, depending on which theory you subscribe to, it could be the result of their transformation. Now, apart from all that, they look as pale as a corpse, and they are all women. Yes, they have boobs. Let's all be mature about that, and not like how some of you reacted in the Spriggans video. Some really fucked up shit in that comment section. Their head is covered by a hood, which is once again made of the same substance as the rest of their clothing. Their head is also shaved, or they're bald, and their eyes and lips are pale. Their ears are pointed, and frankly, if you were to look at them, you'd probably think Snow Elf. We're going to talk more about that later, I promise. Now, for the wisps. They're usually found accompanying the Wispmothers. I know, crazy right? They patrol in wide, lazy circles around them, usually being the first ones to spot you before she does. This could just be children defending their mother, or it could be their extensions of her will, as we shall soon see. They leave a long trail behind them, and they're generally very pretty to look at. They are quite clearly influenced by the various will-o'-the-wisp myths and legends from the real world, and match many of the descriptions of them. At the centre of all that glowing is a ball of energy, very similar in appearance to what emanates out from the Wispmothers. Very curious. In fact, if you kill a wisp, it will drop to the ground in an explosion of energy, as if it's returning to its source. Also interesting to note is that attacking them is a good way to hurt a Wispmother, and killing her kills them. After the explosion, what is left is a wisp core. It looks like a chunk of metal, or more likely ice or crystal. It hardly looks like a baby Wispmother. This makes it more likely that she simply takes these cores and imbues them with her own magic to make the wisps, then using those to scout and possibly hunt on her behalf. The magic of the Wispmothers is both what you would expect and quite surprising. Their main method of offense is sending out a volley of ice spikes at you. You can tell they're going to do so as they telegraph the fuck out of it, raising their hands above their heads as if they were about to start dancing. Their second move is just a stream of cold. Nothing particularly surprising there. It's a little more powerful than a basic one, but apart from that, it's fine. They can also regenerate health. Now that doesn't sound too odd, until you learn they are susceptible to fire. Still pretty normal. Well then, how about the fact that being on fire doesn't offset the regeneration? Yeah, that's a little bit weird. Their last power is being able to make clones of themselves. Hold on, what? Yeah, they can clone themselves. Just because, go fuck yourself. they be's magic. Now these clones are identical in appearance to the Wispmothers, same spells and everything. Now as you can see here, even while passive, they can still clone themselves again. I do not know if there's an upper limit to this spell. I'm assuming that the clones can't make clones, as such shenanigans rarely, if ever, end well. But if you take too long, the original does seem to be able to make more. They have lower health, so you can destroy them, but they're simply, you know, more of a hassle. Now their behaviour is relatively predictable. Both them and the wisps will attack anyone who comes near them, though never each other. This could be either for feeding, or because they simply do not like us. Their interactions with other people are likely the same, except we do see an exception, which some of you know I have talked about before, and indeed showed just minutes ago. The Pale Lady, who we encounter in Frostmere Crypt. Bar the woman running away when we arrive, and the strange information about swords and whispers when we go in. It's a really chill place. That is until we read the notes left by various peoples. The first being Kier's logs. It starts out with him discussing two newcomers, Asa and Rajir, and what they can do for the dig site. It isn't until week 15 they discover a strange cavern. They find it odd, and they also find a sword there, which we come to know as the Pale Blade soon enough. The final entry is on how Rajir seems to be losing it. He mutters to himself and keeps asking to see the blade. This will definitely end well. Next is Asa's journal. It progresses much the same, until they find the cavern. Rajir's having nightmares, and he speaks of a Pale Lady. Now, Asa mentions them being swamp women who steal children, and this is important later. It gets worse, and he starts waking up screaming, saying she's coming for them all, and that they need to return the sword to stop her. Asa then nopes the fuck out, and abandons him. Bitch. Lastly is his note, which I forgot to record like a dumbass. The gist of it is that he hears her everywhere, even while he dreams. He says that putting the sword back will seal her away forever, and he takes the sword to do it. He stabs Kier in the process. It's okay though, he was an asshole. Unfortunately, we arrive too late, and witness him being struck down by her, by the Pale Lady. Interestingly enough, returning the sword does indeed cause her to be sealed away. It's unlikely she wants this, or that she was guarding the sword, as we shall soon see. More likely is she wanted it back so she could take it far away, eliminating the chance that she would again be sealed away. If we read the book, Lost Legends, we actually find reference to a Pale Lady, a being that roamed the northern marshes and stole children like some sort of fucking weirdo. However, it's the bit at the end that interests us. A being called Amriel was sealed away by Ysgramor's heirs. After decades of battle, sealed away is key here. Look around. The crypt appears Nordic in nature, from the architecture down to the blade itself. The blade that was used to seal her away was an ancient Nordic sword. Even more than that is the word wall that we can find beside the place where the sword rests. I think this is enough to suggest that this being, this Pale Lady, was Amriel, and she was sealed away long ago. Rajir was doing the right thing. Poor bastard. There is another book that speaks of them, a book entitled The Wispmother, a book that I decided to do something a little different for. So without further ado, here to read it is an old man I abducted. Among many folk tales from the northern marshes of Skyrim, few subjects are as popular as the Wispmother, ghostly women who lure unsuspecting travellers to their doom and steal the delicious children, and takes vengeance on those who have wronged them in life. Similar tales exist throughout Tamriel, the Milswain of Strosmakai, who lure ships to wreck on jagged shoals, then consume the souls of those aboard. The Serpentine Chalas of Black Marsh, the Amranal of Valenwood. But unlike many of these mystical creatures, most scholars concede that Wispmothers actually exist. Though rare, credible reports of their sightings are simply too frequent to be ignored, yes. Herein a synopsis of what can be gleaned from provincial legends and the dominant theories on what they may actually be. Wispmothers. Most tales agree on only a few basic facts about Wispmothers. They are always female, yes. They take the form of human, some say elven, spirits, wreathed in mist and decaying rags. They have an affinity for frost magic, rarely appearing in more temperate climates, but beyond that the tales differ widely. Some say they are ghosts, waiting to be laid to rest. Others say they are all the remains of the Snow Elves who once ruled Skyrim. Some say they are native to Shalmarch, or the north more generally. But other tales mention them in forgotten places, on the mountaintops as far away as the Yarals. Most reputable scholars dismiss these stories, preferring instead to focus on the few documented sightings from the recent years. From these, two dominant theories have emerged. Based on his extensive research into necromancy and Cyrodiil's Iliad culture, Master Cedrin Zarethi posits that Wispmothers are a necrological state, a type of lichdom developed by a now-forgotten First-Era culture. Under his theory, they are no mere ghosts, oh no. They are a cult of powerful sorceresses who have achieved eternal life through undeath. Alternatively, Ladet Vilien of the Synod contends the Wispmothers are not undead at all, but rather elemental manifestations rising out of Nirn itself. By noting several similarities to Spriggans and Ice Wraiths, she contends the Wispmothers are essentially elemental personifications of snow or mist, innately wielding the power of their element, instead of manipulating it through conventional sorcery. Wisps. In most accounts, the victim is initially drawn to the Wispmother by glowing, ghostly lights. Although initially passive, these creatures later attack little fucks in tandem with her, distracting the victim and draining their energy. Popular legend holds that these are the spirits of the Wispmother's previous victims. These spirits strengthen her, so anyone hoping to destroy her first must release the souls of those she has killed. To scholars, the description immediately recalls the will-o'-the-wisp, a rare and dangerous swamp denizen of southern Tamriel. Oddly, Cyrodiilic legends invariably refer to the wisps as lone predators, while these appear to exist in some sort of symbiotic relationship with others of their kind. Villain argues that these wisps are the subspecies of true wisps, scavengers that lure prey to the Wispmother and share in her psycho-ethereal energy. Did you make that word up? Released by her kills. As codependent scavengers, they most likely lack the formidable defenses of their predatory cousins, rendering them far more vulnerable. Alternatively, Zarethi posits these wisps are merely imitations or conjurations of the Wispmother, and not free-living creatures. This is supported by one incident in which an adventurer reportedly killed a Wispmother directly, only to observe the remaining wisps immediately perish as well, though the source is considered highly unreliable. He was drunk at the time. In summary, scholarly opinion about Wispmothers and wisps is sharply divided, and is likely to remain so for some time, but all sources agree on one crucial point. These are highly dangerous foes and should be avoided at all costs. Okay, I read your script now. Now give me my grandchildren. Alright, that's enough out of you. Thank you, Subcan Harry. So there we go. Much information, many wonders. So first of all, the idea that the wisps and Wispmothers share a link, and that the wisps may indeed be extensions of the Wispmothers, is backed up by in-game evidence. However, what this script really tells us, and really goes towards, is their origins. There seems to be four primary trains of thought on this one. One is that they are similar to Spriggans. They rose from Nirn as simple manifestations of nature, in their case, frost, and perhaps, to an extent, decay, as opposed to the life that the Spriggans bring. Except to us. They kill us. Their magics could then be unique to them, explaining the clones, or shades as they are referred to in game, and the ability to float, wreath themselves in ectoplasmic clothes, and create wisps. All of it comes from them being a personification of frost and ice itself. Option 2 is that they are Snow Elves. Now this is dangerous territory. Also yes, before you comment, I will make a video on them one day. They still exist in two forms. One is as themselves, their rightful selves, Snow Elves. The other is as the golems of Skyrim, the Falmer, who are fugly. They could have managed to persevere as the creatures they are now, transformed by some magic that is now lost. This is similar to option 3, that the Wispmothers were once a group of sorceresses that developed this state as a way to avoid death. It has allowed them to survive all these years, at least until we show up. It transformed their bodies, and give them access to magic that others do not have, like flying and creating wisps, if that is where they come from. The question then has to be asked if option 3 and 2 are similar. If they are Snow Elves, then perhaps this is how they survived, by twisting their bodies and forms to obtain more power. In this regard, I am reminded of the Hagravens, another creature that gave up its body in exchange for more power. Also, they got ugly. So these were the Wispmothers, and the wisps. It's likely that the wisps are simply conjurations of the mothers, formed from a core and then imbued with magic. As for the Wispmothers, there are many theories: manifestations of nature, surviving Snow Elves, or a state of undeath developed by a group of sorceresses to achieve immortality. Either way, they command considerable magical power, and as such are to be feared. They can interact and control, or at least influence, the minds of the denizens of Nirn, perhaps only males, though whether it's only nightmares and whisperings, or if they can do more, we do not know. It is likely that the Pale Lady was Amriel, and was sealed away by the heirs of Ysgramor, so the Admorans. This means that more of them could be out there of similar power, or sealed away. Perhaps the reason that they are so rare is because so many of them have been. Whatever the case, they are one group of mothers you would not like to fuck with. Frigid wraiths, and the smaller creatures that hunt with them. I hope you like this look at all of it. If you did like it, give the video a like, and if you want regular updates, subscribe. Any suggestions for lore or future videos should be left in the comments below. Better yet, go onto my subreddit, so we discuss them in more detail. It's linked in the description. If you wish to, you can support me on Patreon. £1 or $1, I ask for no more. Any rewards you would like to see there that I don't have, message me and I will take a look. Follow me on Twitter or Facebook to get regular updates or have a wee chat. Any business you wish to discuss, email me at thenthapple.business@gmail.com and I will get back to you as soon as possible. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I hope to see you in the next one. And until then, goodbye.